All right, we are going live. We are live. What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's doing well out there. We have got a really good show for you tonight. We're going to, really good live stream tonight. I say show all the time. I don't really know why, but I do. And I think we're going to have a good time tonight. We're going to wait for some people to get in here, and then we are going to do our Disney Villains Bracket Challenge. And it's going to be an awesome time. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. Hey, Noah, what's going on? How you doing, bud? First in. Usually you're usually first with everybody, but I hope you're ready for tonight. We got a good one for you tonight, buddy. We're going to do the Disney Villains Challenge. It's a bracket challenge. We got 64 of the meanest villains in Disney history. Hey, Brian, what's going on? Brian, we got to go in tonight, buddy. Disney Villains. It's going to be a good time. We're going to do a bracket challenge. We're going to be picking our favorite villains until we get down to number one. Well, we may not do them all tonight because there's a lot to pick from. We got 64 villains to go through. And we're going to wait for a few more people to get in here, and then we're going to get started. Oh, on the bus. Okay. All right. Well, appreciate it. Be careful. Don't miss your spot. Your stop. Don't miss your stop. Hope everybody's doing well. Definitely doing well here. We are up and running, and I've got a whole bracket set up. Now, full disclosure on this bracket, guys, while we're waiting for a few other people to get in here. This is a bracket I made up myself. Basically, what I did was I found 64 villains. Some of them are from the same franchise, and some of them are going to be from all over the place with Disney, but they're all either Pixar or animated. No live-action villains at all in this group. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I had to find 64 of them, so it was kind of difficult to find them, but we got them. We got all 64. And as we count them down, if you guys aren't sure of some of these, because it took me a minute on a couple of them too. I wasn't sure who they were. I had to think about it because I did not know who they were. But for anybody who's watching the replay, thank you for joining us. Of course, we want to do a special shout out to Dean and Dreamers Empire at the live place, of course, for hosting the show as they always do. For other live stream, family-friendly content, be sure to check out the live place. They do a lot of great streams, a lot of Disney stuff, but other stuff too. Definitely some live streams for other stuff as well. That's really family-friendly. Be sure to check out the live place. They're really good, and they do a great job. For those that didn't know, we do Mouse Talk every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. This is episode 3 for us. You know what, Brian? That's a good question. I don't know. And I'll tell you what, that demon did not make my 64, my list of 64. So I didn't even think about that one. But that is not one of the ones that made my 64. And they probably should have, but I was kind of scraping this together last minute because I wanted to make sure I had all 64 that I could find. And so we're definitely going to have a lot to talk about tonight with our picks. So again, hopefully we'll get a few more people in here. Yeah, he is scary, actually. That's true. You know, it's funny you talk about Fantasia. I was almost thinking about adding Yensid as a villain, but he's really, I guess, not a villain. As I thought about it a little bit more, I was like, nah, he's not really a villain. It's kind of hard to put him in there because he doesn't count to me. So, hey, Sherry's in here. Hey, Sherry, how you doing? Glad you could join us. We're going to do a great live stream tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hoping we get a lot of other people in here because we're going to be doing... Hey, Bridget's in here as well. Hey, Bridget. Thanks for joining us. We are counting down, or we're going to do our bracket challenge on the 64 of the meanest, most vile, crazy, bad villains that Disney has to offer. And we are going to pick our favorites until we get down to number 1. Now, this might become a 2-episode show, but we'll see. Hey, Krista's in here, and Melissa. Oh, Melissa. She's a very special person. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we are going to get started in just a second. Arjons! What's going on, Arjons? Arjons is in here. Richard's in here. Hey, Richard. You came at a really good time. We're just getting ready to start. We're going to count down we're going to do our bracket challenge in just a second here. We're going to do our 64 villains, and we are going to get them down to number 1 to get down to see who is the most villain of all the villains. So since we have a lot of villains to get through, and we have a lot of brackets to get through, let's kind of go ahead and get started. So the first matchup in this list is, and again, these were all picked at random, guys. I picked all the villains, and then I put all the names in a hat. Full disclosure, I put all the names in a hat, and I picked them at random to find, you know, to kind of get the matchups. So each matchup that you see, they were strictly at random, I promise you. Okay, so the first matchup of the night is going to be Kronk versus Clayton. And for those of you that may not know, Clayton's from Tarzan. He's the villain in Tarzan. So I want to hear what you guys think. Who is your pick there? Kronk versus Clayton. Who is it that you would pick between Kronk and Clayton? Which one do you like better? Hey, Disney World Adventures! Thanks for joining us. We just did our first matchup. We're doing Kronk versus Clayton. Clayton, of course, is from Tarzan, and everybody knows who Kronk is. But there's a Kronk and there's a Clayton vote. Who's the Kronk? There's one for Kronk from Disney World Adventures. Now I gotta be honest with you. I think, you know, everybody always seems to forget about Clayton when they talk about villains, because, you know, I think Tarzan is one of the movies that's kind of forgotten about with Disney, which is kind of too bad because the music's really good in the movie, and the movie itself really isn't that bad. But you know, I gotta admit, of the two of them, I think I'm gonna have to go with you guys and pick Kronk for sure. Kronk definitely gets the vote there. Okay, and what we're gonna do with the brackets is it's just like your normal 64 bracket. We'll go each side and we'll pick the winners, and then we'll move on to the next round. Okay, so the next matchup, and this one's a little bit harder, I think. It's gonna be Madame Medusa. She's from the Rescuers Down Under versus Darla. And Darla's from Finding Nemo. Of course, everybody knows who Darla is. So that is the next matchup. Madame Medusa versus Darla. So who do you guys pick there? That's true, Brian. Actually, he is. The cartoon show is pretty good for sure. I agree. So we have Madame Medusa versus Darla. Melissa picks Darla. And again, Madame Medusa, I think it's Rescuers Down Under. I don't think it... No, actually, you know what? It might be the Rescuers. But Madame Medusa, she's the one with the crazy red hair and really looks like a bad guy in there. You probably know her if you saw her. But she, Madame Medusa, and she's another one that's kind of a forgotten about villain out there. Darla, Krista says Darla, Noah says Darla. And I think early on, guys, we're all on the same page. And, because yeah, Rescuers. There you go, Bridget. Yep. Yeah, Darla is pure evil. I agree. Absolutely. Madame Medusa from Brian. There's a vote for Madame Medusa. I got to admit, Brian, I'm sorry to say it, though, buddy. I got to go with Darla as well. I think she is definitely, she's a baddie, for sure. So Darla will move on to the next round, and that's Darla. So let's move on to our next matchup. And here's another one. I want you guys to think about this name and tell me if you know who this is. It's going to be Bellwether versus Yzma. Now, Yzma, of course, is from The Emperor's New Groove. And Bellwether is actually from Zootopia. If you remember, she's the little... I guess she's a poodle, right? She looks like the little poodle who you think throughout the whole movie is the good guy, and she's actually the bad guy. Disney World Adventures, that's true. Who shakes a fish in a bag? Darla does. So we have Bellwether versus Yzma. And this is a sheep. There you go. Thanks, Krista. Right, she's a sheep. Thank you. So we have Yzma. Bellwether from Brian. She's a lamb. Well, sheep, lamb, whatever. I said a poodle. Just ignore that, guys and gals. Yzma. Okay, so we have Yzma's on the board with a lot of votes here. We have one Bellwether vote. Okay, Melissa, who are you picking since she's a lamb? Are you picking Yzma or Bellwether? There you go, Bellwether. Okay. So for me, I gotta go against the grain on this one. I actually like Bellwether on this one. She's really bad, and I think she's kind of funny too. So I know you guys are probably gonna give me a thumbs down on that one. Hey, Magical News Live, what's up, Nick? How you doing, buddy? Jumbo, thanks for stopping in. We just got done a few of our matchups as we do the Disney Villains bracket. Hey, there's Zoe and you in person. How's everybody doing, guys? We are voting. We are voting on our Disney Villains bracket challenge. We've had a couple already, And we are moving right on. Jabo, Nick, glad you're here, buddy. So we just did a couple of our matchups there. Next matchup, this one is, I think this is a pretty easy one, but I think, I'll be interested to see what you guys say. The next matchup is going to be Stromboli from Pinocchio versus the Headless Horseman from Ichabod and Mr. Toad. So who do you guys pick there? Stromboli and versus the Headless Horseman. I know who my pick is, but I want to know what you guys have to say. She's Harry's little lamb. Oh, we got a lot of people in here. Thank you all for joining us. If you haven't already hit that like button, please do so. So Bridget says Stromboli. That's an interesting one. So we got one vote for Stromboli. Let's see who else. For me, Stromboli is again, a few of these early ones that we've had are kind of Disney villains that everybody forgets about. Melissa says the Headless Horseman. Brian says the Headless Horseman. So we got a couple Horseman votes, and we got one Stromboli vote. Noah, Headless Horseman. Probably Stromboli by Disney World Adventures. How about that? Wow. Cool. Very nice. Very nice. Zoe, I saw that you were live, and I apologize I didn't get in there. I was getting ready for this live stream, so I definitely apologize. I'll definitely make sure I get to the next one for you. So so that we'd like to be there when we can, so we appreciate you coming over to our show. All right, guys, so Stromboli and Headless Horseman, for me, it's kind of a no-brainer. I'm sorry, but I got to go with the Headless Horseman on this one. He's one of my favorites. He's one of the highlights of the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party for me, and I gotta pick the Headless Horseman. It is a close one, Disney World Adventures. I agree, it is a close one, but I gotta go with the Headless Horseman. I'm sorry, guys, I gotta go with the Headless Horseman. So there you go. So that's another one picked out of the way. Let's keep going. And this next one's kind of a good one. This one is, I'm interested to see how you guys pick this one. We have Chick Hicks versus Pete. And of course, Pete is from a Goofy movie. Everybody knows who Pete is from Pete's Silly Sideshow. He's kind of the bad guy there. But we have Pete versus Chick Hicks. And of course, Chick Hicks, he's the bad guy. Michael Keaton does the voice of him. He's in Cars. And that's the next one. So who do you guys pick there? Who do you like there? Chick Hicks versus Pete. And I was really lucky because a lot of these are not, some of these are going to be hard. Chick Hicks versus Pete. Now for me, this is actually a little bit harder than I thought. So there's Krista. Krista says Pete. Bridget says Pete. Now, I really like the first Cars movie. The last two were okay, but they weren't great. Krista, you've never seen Cars? Oh, my gosh. Oh, yeah, you have to see them. I think you'll like them. You'll definitely like them. Disney World Adventures picks Pete. Brian picks Chick Hicks. There you go. There's a pick for Chick Hicks. It's funny. When I first saw Cars and saw Chick Hicks, I didn't realize. Hey, there's Miguel. What's going on, Miguel? Thanks for dropping in. We're doing our Disney Villains Bracket Challenge, and we are off and running. We got a lot of picks. Right now we're doing Chick Hicks from Cars versus Pete from a Goofy movie. And we're trying to pick who moves on from that group. And so far, most of the votes are Pete. Yeah, it's going to be a good time tonight. We're going to have a lot of fun. We got 15 people in here, guys and gals. Again, if you haven't already hit that like button, please do so. I definitely would appreciate that. Disney Life also says Pete. And you know what? It's almost unanimous is that it's going to be Pete. And you know what? That would have been my pick too. I would have picked Pete over Chick Hicks. So my pick also is going to be Pete. Now let's move on to this next one. And this next one I think is going to be, to me, I think this is a hard pick. And it's going to be Jafar versus Judge Doom. Now for those who don't remember, Judge Doom is the bad guy in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, played by Christopher Lloyd. If you think about it, he really is a cartoon in a human's body at first. So it's Judge Doom versus Jafar. So who does everybody pick there? And that's actually a toughie because Judge Doom is a pretty bad guy. Jafar from Melissa. Krista says Jafar as well. That's two for Jafar so far. I already know who I would pick. I just want to see who you guys would pick. So we have Jafar. Yeah, they're both really good villains, Bridget. I agree. They're both really good bad guys. Noah says Jafar as well. Well, I think Jafar would have if he wanted to, Brian. I think if he could have, he probably would have. He certainly tried to kill Aladdin. So, Judge Doom, Jafar, there you go. Well, I'm going, guys, Aladdin is one of my favorite movies, and Jafar is actually one of my favorite villains. So, I got to agree with the masses here, and I agree it's going to be Jafar. Jafar goes and moves on to the next round. All right, so let's move on to the next matchup, and this one is another one. I think this one's going to be easy for everybody. You have Sid, of course, from the original Toy Story, versus Charles Muntz. Now, for those who don't know, Charles Muntz is from Up. He's the bad guy in Up. So we have Sid versus Charles Muntz. Who does everybody pick there? That's a tough one, actually. And he's another one. Charles Muntz is another one of those villains that you just don't think about. Of course, he's not one of the more popular ones, but he's a baddie. Arjon's still in there. Sid's got votes. Don't worry, Brian. Keep voting. Keep voting. Melissa says Sid. Bridget says Sid. Miguel says Sid. Krista says Sid. Never seen Up? Bridget, oh my gosh, you have got to see that. Brian with Charles Muntz. Brian, you're going against the grain on everybody, buddy. Hey, Stacy Rogers is in here. Hey, Stacy, how you doing? Thanks for joining us. Glad you're here. Hope you're doing well. We are counting down our Disney villains. We are doing the Disney Villains Bracket Challenge, and right now we are doing Sid Vicious. I think his last name is Vicious. Is it, or is it just Sid? Do we even know his last name? Up is an amazing movie, Disney World Adventures, for sure. But Sid versus Charles Muntz. So for me, I got to agree with everybody else. I got to go with Sid on this one. He's such a bad baddie. He loves to ruin the toys and just destroy them, and he is definitely a bad guy. All right, so let's move on to the next one. Brian, I don't believe that you've never seen Toy Story. I don't believe that. If you haven't seen Toy Story, you have got to go right now, drop everything, and go watch Toy Story. All right, let's get on to the next matchup. Now, this next one, I don't think this one's a hard one. I think you guys will pretty much... I think this one's going to be... Well, I don't want to say, but I think it'll be a unanimous vote. It's going to be Brer Fox versus Lady Tremaine. So, Brer Fox versus Lady Tremaine. Who does everybody pick there? I think that's an easy one, but you never know with voting. Brer Fox versus Lady Tremaine. And we have a lot of bad guys to go, folks. We got a lot of bad guys, everybody. Lady Tremaine, Lady Tremaine. Absolutely, totally get it. And, you know, it's funny because Brer Fox, you never think of him. I mean, he really is. He's a bad guy. He's going after Brer Rabbit. He's trying to eat him. Trying to get him. Yeah, definitely watch it, Brian. You'll love Toy Story. Lady Tremaine from Melissa. Lady Tremaine, Lady Tremaine. Oh, Bridget's going to be buzzed for Halloween. That's awesome. He'll look. I'm sure he'll look great. Make sure you post some pictures. We'd love to see some pictures of him. I'm sure he's going to love that. That's going to be awesome for sure. Lady Tremaine, Lady Tremaine. All right, yep, and I agree. That would have been my pick as well. I would have definitely picked Lady Tremaine. She's definitely a bad baddie, and she's got to move on for sure. All right, so we are there, and we've got our first second-round matchup set, but we are going to continue with our next one. Song of the South is actually, it's one of those ones you don't see that much of. Oh, she's calling us Binks. Binks the cat from... Hocus Pocus, that's pretty cool. Actually, our cat's name, Bridget, is Binks from Hocus Pocus as well. That's kind of funny. That's really cool. All right, guys, next matchup. And this is going to be, so far, I think, the hardest matchup to pick. And it's going to be the Queen of Hearts versus Cruella de Vil. The Queen of Hearts versus Cruella de Vil. And this one is a toughie. And this is a real tough one for me. So I'm going to need you guys to help me with this one. Cruella de Vil or the Queen of Hearts? Yeah, you're right, Stacy. It won't be released, I don't think, at this point. Queen of Hearts and Cruella de Vil. Cruella. Interesting. Wow. I'm surprised by that. I really would have thought Queen of Hearts would have gotten some votes from everybody in reference to that. That really is amazing. Too controversial. Oh, the movie. Yes, Stacy, absolutely. Yes. But, Disney World Adventure, that's true. You know, I gotta agree. I'm gonna pick Cruella de Vil as well. She would have been my pick as well. So Cruella de Vil, in a really tough matchup, moves on to the next round. All right, and here comes the next matchup, and this one's a little bit, I think, kind of an uneven matchup.